Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This one's back to help me review Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring. Now I should point out Ridley has not seen this before and we watched the theatrical version, so that's the version that we are kind of reviewing here. So obviously I'm sure most of you know the story based on the kind of the classic literature from J.R.R. Tolkien. And this one's directed by Peter Jackson and is the first chapter of the Lord of the Rings story. The creation of the Fellowship of the Ring, a bunch of heroes questing to dispose of this eel artifact in a mountain, and it follows this initial part of the journey through various kind of trials and tribulations. What will happen if you haven't seen it? You will have to watch the movie and find out. So let's talk about the good stuff. What worked in this movie? And we're going to go to Ridley first. What did you think worked in this film? What did you like most about it?
The characters.
The characters. Why did you like the characters? What was good about it? So who was your favourite character?
Frodo.
Nice. And why did you like Frodo the best?
Because he made sure no one stole the ring.
Yeah, he was very. He had to have a good level of. Because Frodo was. What's good about this story is that you have all these heroes, you have all these kind of warriors, and it's actually the little man who ends up carrying the biggest burden. I mean, Frodo really is the only one who is not, he's not easily corrupted by the ring. And we see like Boromir, who is a hero from Gondor, and he, without even holding the ring, he's getting corrupted by it. But it's Frodo, an unassuming halfling from the Shire, who has the strength of will not to be corrupted by the ring.
In like an instant.
Exactly. So yes, it's good character work on this one, and I think Elijah Wood does a great job as obviously Frodo here. What else did you like about the movie?
The scenery.
Yeah. So this was obviously shot in New Zealand, and Ridley actually was born in New Zealand. So a bit of a homecoming for you in a way, and yeah, it makes wonderful use of the New Zealand landscapes and things like this. Absolutely marvelous sort of cinematography and direction by sort of Peter Jackson. For me, one of the things I liked about this movie, especially if you compare it to its two sequels, is out of all of the three original movies, and he hasn't seen the next two yet, but to me this one's got the most story out of the three movies. The other two have a lot of extended battle sequences and maybe more action than this first movie, but to me the first one had the most going on. There was a variety in different things. The first half of the movie, it's the sort of the character work, it's getting to know the kind of the Shire, and then it's dealing with the kind of the ring wraiths and things like that. And then obviously the second half is where we kind of set off with the full cast of characters here, and then we're going against the Watcher in the Water, the Mines, the Orcs, the Balrog. So there's more variety here, and I think obviously we have this kind of, this is really the only movie where we have this kind of like this fellowship together. So to me, out of all of the three films, this was to me has the best story progression, so to speak. I know there's been criticism about it's just people walking, basically that's the story, and why didn't they get a big eagle to drop the ring in Mount Doom? Who knows? But that's it is what it is. But obviously, yeah, it's a great score by Howard Shore. I think Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn, I think, will go down as one of the kind of the classic sort of heroes. I always remember it was all the girls used to like either Aragorn or Legolas, the elf. What did you think about the action?
I think they did a good job at that.
Yeah, fantastic. What was your favourite sort of creature or monster in this film?
I like the elves.
Yeah, you like the elves. Yes, no, elves were very popular. Now let's talk about anything you didn't like, Ridley. Was there any elements of this movie that you didn't like, or you could think was a little better?
The thing that would be a spoiler, right?
Go on, it's all right. Spoilers.
Why couldn't they just make it a quick and painless death?
For who?
The guy that tried to steal the ring.
Boromir.
Yeah, why couldn't they just...
Wow, they got these are orcs though, aren't they? They want to torture him. They don't want to give you a quick and easy death. For me, my critiques of this movie is, we watched the theatrical cut and it's still around a 3-hour movie. I do think the first half of the movie, the Shire sequences, go on for a little bit too long. It's to me, this movie is the best in regards to story, but I do think the movie does drag somewhat in the first half. And I know purists might say, "Oh, there's no Tom Bombadil and things like this," but I have to say, I think we spent a little bit too much time in the Shire, and I think you've got to bear in mind we don't really leave the Shire until about an hour and a half into the movie. And to me, that's a little bit too long. It doesn't need to be that long. It does some great character work, don't get me wrong, but I do feel that first half of the movie drags a little bit, I have to say. I would also say, and this isn't really a criticism of the movie necessarily, but I think the CGI is now starting to show its age a little bit. Obviously, at the time, it was groundbreaking, so this is not a critique really that I would. Say mark it down any points, because at the time it was obviously cutting edge special effects. But some of the CGI is showing its age a little bit and doesn't look quite as sharp as obviously it maybe would. This one is, possibly the slowest out of the 3 films for some. The 2 next films have a lot more in regards to action. I like the story of this one the best because I do think it has the most sort of progression, and it shows that sort of the weight that that Frodo has, and the kind of the pressure that is put on the Fellowship, and the temptation and everything, and the effect of the ring. But arguably, you could say maybe this one at the 3 movies is the slowest, and I think a lot of that is, as I say, is down to the first half of the movie. But I think it's a great setup. It's a fantastic example of the genre, and obviously made from classic literature. So, Ridley, out of 1 to 10, what would you rate Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring?
8.9.
8.9, we'll say. Let's call it a 9 out of 10 for you then. I'm actually going to go pretty high myself. To me, this is an 8 out of 10. It's a very, very good movie. And although some of the other movies are maybe a little bit more exciting than this one in places, this to me is my favourite probably, because it has the most sort of story, and it has the most sort of I would say development for our characters. So it's an 8 out of 10 for me. Right, Ridley hasn't seen the other ones yet, so we'll possibly be back with a review of the next ones. But thanks for watching. Bye for now.